Welcome to Equal Entertainment. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. The woman who accused Jonathan Majors of assault back in March is now facing charges herself. Grace Jabbari was arrested on suspicion of assault and criminal mischief. Jabbari is Majors' former girlfriend. She claims Majors hit her in the face. Majors has maintained his innocence and filed a counter-complaint that he was assaulted. His attorney says Majors is the real victim in this ordeal and that his life and career have been torn apart by it. The trial is set to begin at the end of November. Barbie is hoping to score a goal with another iconic Barbie-themed doll based on the hit show Ted Lasso. Take a look at this. Mattel is selling 3 dolls inspired by characters from the show. One is Ted Lasso, played by Jason Sudeikis. Then there's Rebecca Welton, played by Hannah Waddingham. And finally, everyone's favorite public relations consultant, Keely Jones, played by Juno Temple. The Emmy-winning Apple TV Plus show Ted Lasso concluded its 3rd and final season in May. Keeping up with Apple TV shows will cost you. Apple is raising subscription prices again. The hike brings it to $10 a month or $99 for the year. That's up $3 from $7 a month or $30 more if you pay for an entire year. The last time prices went up was a year ago. Before that, prices were steady for 3 years. This is the latest streaming service to raise prices this year, joining Netflix, Disney+, Hulu, and Max. There's a new mystery heist comedy out from the legendary playwright and actor Charles Busch, known for camp classics like Psycho Beach Party and Die Mommy Die. It stars Busch as a movie memorabilia dealer as he and others in his field hunt to find a rare reel to a missing film, all with the backdrop of New York City and the West Village. Here's an inside look with Busch and co-writer-director Carl Andrus. Hi, welcome Carl Andrus and Charles Busch, co-writers and co-directors of the film The Sixth Reel. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you. Well, I want to begin by saying, first off, congratulations on the film, and then also that I was kind of surprised when I saw that this was written and directed at the height of the pandemic, and then, of course, not surprised because as I am familiar with Charles's work, I found it to have a bit of melancholy that seemed very of the moment. And so, Carl, I would love if you would chat a little bit about how this project came to be.
Well, Charles and I had an agreement to work with producer Ash Christian on a film project together. And so we had been working on a play that was playing in New York City called The Confession of Lily Dare, and we had planned to start working on it right after we closed. We closed on March 5th of 2020, and the next week, suddenly we were all in lockdown. So Charles and I figured, well, we might as well use this time wisely, and we started ideating the story and the script via Skype. And we would speak for hours every day, basically on the phone, figuring out the outline, the characters, and what our impetuses would be. And before we knew it, we had a script. We sent it to Ash. He loved it. And then we were preparing to go into production in October of 2020, and which was pretty wild and pretty quick. Very exciting at the same time.
Yeah, I imagine. And that was really the Wild West because nobody was shooting. So, Charles, would you talk a bit about the challenges of shooting at that time?
Oh, it was crazy, and some of the aesthetic choices we made in the script, writing the script, were because we didn't want to get large groups of people in a tight space. We had planned there's a memorial service scene, and we kind of thought we have to just fill up a big space, and we can put everybody we know into the movie, and then of course that didn't seem very responsible, so we rewrote it and made the whole point that nobody shows up for the memorial service, so except 6 people. But then it was cookie on we had so many protocols in place that later were deemed unnecessary because people just didn't know. And we had a marvelous COVID, I don't know what you call him, policeman, whatever, and Jason, who certainly did his job, and the 80-person cast and crew, nobody got sick. But I remember this one day we were shooting right outside my apartment building in the West Village, and Julie Halston and I were having this rather intense scene, just together, very close. And one of our, resident old curmudgeon kooks in the neighborhood, this old man just walked right between us while the camera was going and put his finger right to my face and said, "Mask." And I said, "Can't you see that I'm giving a performance?" But later, I took that as a great compliment because I thought, oh, I must be so realistic that he has no idea that I was acting.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you for that. And, you two have been friends and collaborators for, I don't know, decades now. And there really is a bit of a troupe around your work, Charles. And you have Julie in this. Would you each talk a little bit about, having that troupe of friends, but also really, I would say, chosen family? And would you talk a little bit about that, Carl?
When we start working on a project, we often think about, well, who would we like to be with? Who would we like to spend time with? And quite often, Charles will think of stories that he wants to tell and who he'd like to play opposite and how he might feature them the best. And so when we were working on this particular story, I had always wanted to find a way to create a situation in which we could capture Charles and Julie's longtime stage chemistry on screen because they've been in many, many plays together, but never in a movie. And this seemed like a wonderful opportunity. And years before, Charles had written a play that we did together in New York called The Tribute Artist. And it really starred Charles and Julie sort of at their best. And I suggested that maybe we could take that relationship and adapt it to this story. And so that sort of turned Charles into this film sort of memorabilia dealer, and Julie into this widow from Boca, and just sort of capture their their chemistry on screen, and so then from there it was sort of like, well, who else will we get involved? And it's nice to work with people you have a shorthand with, and that you have a past with, and then it's fun to invite new people into the fold to sort of like keep the energy fresh and new.
And with Julie, after I think I've written about 13 different parts for her over the years. And so there's a certain thing which I call her trip, which is a certain way of kind of talking like with the Comac Long Island accent. But I also try to, in each thing, expand it and take a different aspect of her personality that intrigues me. And in this part of Helen, there's Julie lost her husband a few years ago, and it was a terrible thing. And I don't know if you say I'm avoiding it or not, but I wanted to sort of allow her to express some of the feelings that she had about this terrible loss and trying to get her life back together and rejoin the human race, as Dolly Levi would say.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, this film is clearly it's a love letter to old Hollywood and old Hollywood glamour, but it also feels as though it pays homage to a certain kind of eccentric New Yorker who is fading, and especially older gay men, those who have survived HIV/AIDS and who are largely forgotten. And I wonder if you would each speak to that aspect of the character that Charles plays in the film. And I'll go to you first, Carl.
Yeah, it's really interesting to sort of capture those people who maybe time is left behind, but who are still there and still living in the village and supporting the arts and going to plays and going to movies, and they're people we respect and we admire, and it's really nice to reflect them in a story, so that those people have a chance to be seen as well. And we sort of know a lot of these people, and they're sort of our community, and so it's very nice to try to find a way to put them on the screen and to tell their story, and to find a way to express how the modern world can really go by at a clip, and some people can be seemingly left behind. But what we loved about this story is that there is a sense of wish fulfillment, and that you never know what's going to happen, and tomorrow is another day. And so just
You can watch the Advocate channel live by downloading our app in the Apple or Google Play Store. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. For the Advocate channel, I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. Thank you for watching.